us make those choices filtered through values helps us be explicit about what our values actually are. And it's okay to have family values, like we as a family value this, and then individual values. I as mom value this, dad as dad values this, and some of them may overlap and align, some of them might not. And then it gives the space for the kids in the home or anyone else in the home to be like, oh, well, yeah, the family values sound like my values. Cool. Oh, you know what? I lean more towards mom in that value of freedom, or more towards dad in that value of security. So it's it when we start to have those conversations and become more explicit about the values and how they show up as behaviors in our home, or through the choices we make, I think can be really powerful and impactful. And it does go back to that word intention, being intentional about saying it out loud, making identifying it even in the first place.
So you're hitting on so many really delicious points, Sarah. So, and the first, I think going back to the fact that you can have family values and then individual values that might not be the same. That is such a critical point, because what I have seen in working with various clients is that they feel like they've done something wrong if their personal value system isn't in alignment with even just as a couple. And so I've had those conversations time and time again, and I'll never forget the first time that I actually had a couple do their values together. It was super interesting to watch, because I had them doing separately, using value cards. They wrote them down, and then they did them as a couple. And they got down to the last two. I always make people get down to the last two and then prioritize them. It's super fun to do that.
Oh yeah, I love doing that too.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to watch you from over here because I've done it. So now you have to do it. But they really struggled when they narrowed it down to three and they had to make it two. They struggled. And what was so interesting was, the woman in the relationship, only one of her top two values were in the top three. And the man in the relationship, none of his top values were in the top three. So, but together as a couple, and what they realized was, when they looked at themselves as a couple, they were taking into account that they were parents, and they were not just biological parents, they were also foster parents. And so there were all of these different dynamics, and that conversation was absolutely beautiful to watch and how it evolved. So I think that's a critical point. I think the other point that you made goes back to the action, because you can do the work, you can understand what they are, you can be intentional about understanding, but if you're not sharing what the values are with the collective of your family, and if you are not constantly making sure that the actions that you're doing, whether it's community involvement, whether it's, let's say, family is in your top two values, then are you actually sitting down for a family meal? Are you having game night? Are you doing the things? Then your kids will notice that there's a misalignment there. But I also think the energy in your house is going to feel that way too. It's not going to be this safe haven of coming home, because something's going to feel off. And I'm not saying completely off kilter, it's just not going to feel in alignment. But when you are in alignment, the beauty of that, just expands. It expands out to your kids, and then ultimately to their friends and their friends' families, and so on and so forth. It really is a beautiful, beautiful domino effect.